more.
Said what you said about Donald Trump's mass deportations proposals in 2016. Take a look.
I don't think it's reasonable to say you're going to round up and deport 11 million people. I don't think it's a plan that works. I don't think that's a realistic policy.
So why have you changed your mind now?
What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. You know, I watch a lot of these Sunday morning political shows, so you don't have to. And usually, they all follow the exact same predictable script. A corporate media host brings on a conservative guest, puts on a fake smile, and then spends 15 minutes trying to set up a viral trap instead of actually talking about the issues that matter to regular Americans. Well, Senator Marco Rubio just went on Meet the Press, and the host clearly thought she had the perfect blueprint to back him into a corner. She had her old video clips queued up, her loaded yes or no questions ready to go, and she expected him to get defensive. But what went down was an absolute clinic on how to handle legacy media hostility. Rubio completely flipped the script, forced the host to defend her own network's track record, and exposed the massive double standards that drive corporate journalism today. We're going to look at the entire footage right now, and I'm going to break down the exact moments where the interview completely got away from her. Before we jump in, do me a huge favor. Hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and drop a comment below. It helps the algorithm push this out to more political enthusiasts like yourselves. Let's roll the tape.
Is an insurrectionist and ineligible to hold office. So you need to ask them. I think you've had have you ever asked a Democrat this question on your show? I bet you've never asked a Democrat that question.
If reelected, Donald Trump has said he's willing to build migrant detention camps and deploy the U.S. military to deport the more than 11 million undocumented immigrants in this country. It would be the largest deportation operation in American history. Do you support that plan?
11 million. That's an outdated. That was the number 10 years ago. We're talking upwards of 20, 25, maybe 30 million. Well, there's been almost 10 million people that have entered this country in the last 3 years.
To the question, would you support it?
The number varies big time. I mean, it's another 9 to 10 million people just in the last 3 years. The answer to your question is yes. We cannot absorb 25, 30 million people who entered this country illegally. They are here illegally. What country on earth would tolerate that? We don't even know who most of these people are. They talk about vetting them with what? They're coming from nations that don't even have document systems in many cases. Yes, we are going to have to do something, unfortunately. We're going to have to do something dramatic to remove people from this country that are here illegally, especially people we know nothing about. But 10 million, 11 million, that was the number 15 years ago. Today, it's upwards of probably 25 to 30 million, maybe more.
Said what you said about Donald Trump's mass deportations proposals in 2016. Take a look.
I don't think it's reasonable to say you're going to round up and deport 11 million people. I don't think it's a plan that works. I don't think that's a realistic policy.
So why have you changed your mind now?
Because the issue has completely changed. When I said that back in 2013, when I was involved in immigration reform, we had 11, 12 million people that had been here for longer than a decade. Now we've had almost that number in the last 3 years alone from all over the world, including people that I believe are terrorists, people that I believe are going to conduct terrorist attacks in this country if given the opportunity, certainly people that were criminals in their home country. This is a completely different, this is not immigration. You asked me about immigration. This is mass migration. Mass migration. This is an invasion of the country. And it needs to be dealt with dramatically. And by the way, I'm not a big poll follower, but polls show most Americans agree with us on this.
And that was an issue under former President Trump as well. There was just a bipartisan proposal that was put on the table that would put more funding into border enforcement as well as limiting asylum. Republicans walked away from that. But let me move on to my next question.
Well, no, we can't move on because that's not what that bill did. That bill also created asylum officers who right on the border will be able to give people asylum. And you give someone asylum right on the border without any appeal, no judge, nothing, just an asylum officer, they are on a path to citizenship. That's why I oppose that bill.
Your fellow Republican said it was the best deal that they had seen in a long, long time. But Senator,
which fellow Republican?
Senator Lindsey Graham, just to name Senator Lindsey Graham, just to name.
Okay, well then I distree with Lindsey if that's what he said. But I'm not in favor of asylum officers at the border that can issue asylum rulings right at the border.
And Senator James Lankford, of course, negotiated. But let me look forward. Will you accept the election results of 2024, no matter what happens, Senator?
No matter what happens? No, if it's an unfair election, I think it's going to
No
be
matter
contested
who
by either
wins.
side.
Senator, no matter who
why don't
wins.
I think you're asking the wrong person. The Democrats are the ones that have opposed every Republican victory since 2000. Every single one. It's Hillary
No
Clinton
Democrat
said
has
that-
refused to concede. Hillary Clinton conceded. Senator, will you accept the election results?
Hillary Clinton said the election was stolen from her and that Trump was illegitimate. Kamala Harris agreed.
Senator, she
we have
conceded
Democrats
the
now.
election. Senator, she conceded
she
the
said-
election and attended the inauguration.
She said that Trump was illegitimate. She said that the election had been stolen. Kamala Harris agreed. By the way, there are Democrats serving in Congress today who in 2004 voted not to certify the Ohio vote.
We all know that Democrats are completely biased and they are hypocritical in everything that they say. It is sad.
Electors, because they said those machines have been tampered with, and you have Democrats now saying they won't certify 2024 because Trump is an insurrectionist and ineligible to hold office. So you need to ask them. I think have you ever asked the Democrat this question on your show? I bet you've never asked a Democrat that question.
Senator, you voted to certify the 2020 election, and here is what you said on that day that you voted to certify the 2020 election.
Yeah. Democracy is held together by people's confidence in the election and their willingness to abide by its results.
So by your own definition, are Donald Trump's claims undermining Americans' confidence in democracy, given that he has not conceded the last election and he just said in recent days twice that he won Minnesota, Senator?
I think what undermines people's confidence in the election is when you have places like Wisconsin with over 500 illegal drop box locations, when you have places like Georgia where liberal groups are paying people $10 per vote. No, but listen, undermines elections is when NBC News and every major news outlet in America in 2020 censored the Biden laptop story, which turned out to be true, not Russian misinformation, unprecedented. Only you couldn't even talk about it on social media. They would deplatform you. People look at all this. They look at what happened in Arizona, 200,000 ballots that had the signatures didn't match. People will lose confidence, and it opens the door to this.
I have to jump in here, Senator. You voted to certify the election, and
because at that stage in the process, you have no options.
Senator, you voted to certify the election. Nothing has been censored on this program. Hillary Clinton.
Did you guys cover the laptop for Joe Biden in 2020? They talked about it in social media.
Chris Krebs, the top election official,
you couldn't talk about it in social media. It'd be deplatformed. You couldn't even talk about it because they said it was Russian disinformation.
Senator Rubio,
voters in many cases didn't even hear about it because it was blacked out by the media.
We did cover the election, and just to note that Chris Krebs, who was a top Trump election official, called it the safest and most secure election in recent history. Senator Rubio, we are out of time.
Of course we are, but I'm telling you that if it's unfair, we are going to do the same thing Democrats do. We're going to use lawyers to go to court and point out the fact that states are not following their own election laws.
But the Democrats,
hopefully we'll have a fair election and it'll be unquestioned.
Senator, all those cases were brought to court cases and lost, and there was no proof that there was any widespread fraud, as you know. But I appreciate.
I never used the word widespread fraud.
I'm sorry.
That IT is honestly remarkable to watch the exact moment a corporate media narrative completely falls apart on live television. You could literally see the frustration building up on the host's face because Rubio refused to take the bait on a single one of her traps. Let's look at how this actually played out on the policy level. She starts off by throwing a clip at him from roughly a decade ago, basically saying, "Hey, you used to think mass deportation was unrealistic. So why did you change your mind?" She wanted him to look inconsistent. But Rubio hits her with a heavy dose of reality that the Washington establishment loves to ignore. The entire scope of the immigration crisis has shifted. We aren't talking about the same border situation from 10 or 15 years ago. Under current policies, the U.S. has seen an unprecedented influx of tens of millions of undocumented individuals in just a few years. Rubio's point was simple and devastating. No other country on the planet would allow millions of unvetted people across their borders without knowing who they are or where they came from. He didn't back down. He accurately pointed out that a massive crisis requires a massive historic response. Then she tries to use the old talking point about the bipartisan border bill to claim Republicans don't want to fix the issue. Again, Rubio doesn't let the spin slide. He actually explains the mechanics of the bill, noting that it essentially fast-tracked legal status right at the border through asylum officers without any real judicial oversight. But the real breakdown happened when she tried to force him into a corner on the 2024 election results. This is the media's absolute favorite gotcha question. If you give a blanket yes, you're giving up your right to challenge legitimate voting irregularities. If you say anything else, they label you a radical. Rubio handled it beautifully by stating he'd accept a fair election. And then he immediately turned the spotlight back on the left's absolute hypocrisy. He flat out reminded her that national Democrats, including Hillary Clinton and current leadership, spent years calling the 2016 election illegitimate and objecting to past certifications. And the absolute best part? He brings up the institutional media censorship of the Hunter Biden laptop story right before the 2020 election. A real, verified story that major news outlets actively buried. Look at how the host reacted the second he brought that up. She immediately started talking over him, raising her voice, and trying to rapidly pivot to anything else because she didn't want her network's own bias exposed on her own airtime. She wanted to put Rubio on trial, but she ended up putting the entire legacy media on trial instead. This is exactly why trust in these mainstream networks is at an all-time low. They aren't interested in a fair debate. They're interested in an ambush. And Rubio showed everyone exactly how to defeat it. What did you guys think of how Rubio held his ground? Did he handle the media bias the right way? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Smash that like button on your way out. And I'll catch you guys in the next one.